Hey guys, and welcome to Geek Freaks.
Geek Freak.
Today's going to be a special episode. It's our 1 year anniversary, and top five.
Top five.
There you go. Joe's whispering me or memeing top five, top five. Miming is the word. So we started out as top five back in the day, and then we adjusted to what I think is a far better
format.
I think we're all enjoying it a lot more, just socializing and talking about all the latest things in geek life. But we're going to return to our roots just for an episode. And we like to do those more often. We said we'd do them once a month. And you get so hyped about the news, you're like, I got to talk about the new in television.
There's so much going on lately that we've had a lot of different stuff to talk about.
Yeah, so we're going to get back to top five. Our first top five episode was top five MCU movies. And so I was like, well, let's do that again. We have the new Avengers that came out. Mm-hmm. But the same thing that happened that time and this time, Infinity War just came out. So I think if we were to do it again, we'd be like, oh yeah, Endgame, and then what else? So, and we don't quite have enough. So what we'll do is make maybe our 5-year anniversary or some crazy thing like that. We'll do that way. We have a lot of Marvel movies under our belt again.
Yeah.
This one we're gonna do top five time travel movies, which is still relevant. Mm-hmm. So I want to just throw out there real quick. Spoiler alert. I'm not gonna even say. That might even spoil some stuff. Spoiler alert for all recent movies. We'll go with that, just because. Now that I said that,
I don't think it spoils anything to say this.
Say it like 5 more times.
Spoiler. That's enough. That's 3. Spoiler. Okay, we're good.
They've turned it off by now.
Yeah.
Avengers Endgame has time travel in it.
That's what we wanted to get to. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure we got on the spoilers in the beginning, so now I can't be blamed for it. Because you know how people are, man. Especially Endgame. You spoil Endgame.
I did pretty good. I saw it yesterday. So it was about a week.
Yeah.
Week and a half, maybe?
Yeah.
Since it's been released.
A weekend prior.
I didn't get any spoilers. And I was very close a couple times to having people near me talking about it. I'm like, no!
Tony! Anyways.
So I did it.
All right, so Joe's going to be our judge. We're real rusty on this, guys. We actually haven't done a top 5 since December.
Oh, God.
So it's been 5 months since we've done a top 5.
I said we just push them out and talk about them.
I think we're good. Well, you're the one that wanted. You're the judge.
Yeah, I'm the judge.
Okay, yeah.
You tell us what you want.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Your Honor. So we're doing top 5 time travel movies. We're going to do the quick top 5, and then after this, we have the Detective Pikachu review. So
nice.
That's going to be as well in this episode. Let's start with. I can't believe I'm still messing this up. We have to name our 5 first. I'm glad that tradition's still around. That me keep messing this part up.
So terrible.
Name your 5, John.
All right, so I got Back to the Future, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, The Butterfly Effect, Avengers Endgame,
Wow, I forgot about that.
and Idiocracy.
You have something that I totally forgot about. Yeah. Butterfly Effect was awesome when it came out.
Right? And it's a different perspective of a time travel movie, which I like.
I quickly made a change about a minute before recording, so one of mine have changed. But I've got Men in Black 3, Groundhog Day, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Avengers Endgame. See, we have too much hype on that Endgame. It might not be...
It's so fresh, so good.
Yeah. And then Back to the Future Part 2, because I think that's the best Back to the Future movie. For time travel specifically as well. I'm also like... When it comes to Back to the Future, they're all amazing. I really like number 3, and that's one that everybody doesn't agree with. But
probably because you got the Old West, huh? You liked it.
I do like Cowboys. Yeah.
You look like the Cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't like the West. He likes the Cowboys in the West.
But anyways.
Wider.
Oh, my God. Don't get me started. Anyways, that's the whole thing. We'll talk about it afterwards. But yeah, Back to the Future 2. All right. Let's get our honorable mentions out there, too. What do you think?
Sure. What do you got?
I have Arrival, which is the one I took off my list because kind of shady on the time travel aspect. Time Cop.
It was cool.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay. Yeah.
Classic. Doctor Strange. The reason Doctor Strange is not on there is because I really only want to do one Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is amazing.
Yes.
And Dormammu, he beat Dormammu because of time travel, which probably should be the next big bet. But anyways, Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure I got on there. And then Star Trek The Voyage Home. That's the one where they had to come back in space, back in time to save the whales, which is like the one that they make fun of all the time because that line right there sounds crazy. Because when they realize, if I remember, it's been a bit since I've seen it, the whales like calls were telling the alien race like they belong to them, and so when the aliens died off because they slowly died off because that's how humanity works. All of a sudden the aliens like, oh no, they're in trouble, so they come to invade Earth to like protect it's a whole thing. So they come back in time to stop that whole process by saving whales and bringing them back to the future. They bring back 2 whales back to the future so they continue to make the signal that it's gonna be okay. I love Star Trek. It's crazy. Anyways. All right. What do you think, John? You want to go first? Which one do you think is worth number one?
I was gonna go Back to the Future 1. It's such a classic. It kind of introduced time travel in movies. I think. I mean, there might have been other time travel movies before, but it was the first one that I ever cared about. They had a good perspective of time travel with the whole, you can totally drastically change your future by making a small change in the past.
Let's make sure we bring that up as how time travel is different in each movie and which one you liked.
I liked how it showed the 80s and all the
they went back to the 50s
or 50s. Sorry, that's what I meant.
No.
But there's a cool perspective. It's always, I like seeing older movies. Yeah, because this was made in the 80s. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. It showed the 80s, and then it showed the 50s.
And then they went to the crazy future, 2015.
Yeah, right. But I like how I like seeing old movies predicting what the future is going to be like, which actually is in number 2, but like their perspective.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. I didn't like number 2 as much. I don't know.
I'm just trying to differentiate. I'm trying to remember what happens in both because the
second
one is like the first
number one just goes to the past.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't go in the future at all in number 1.
Yeah, number 1, he goes back to the past. He ends up staying with his mom for a bit, and then he basically helps out his dad, get with his mom.
Build confidence and talk to her and stuff. Fights Biff.
Biff, thank you.
Yeah.
Puts Biff in check and stuff like that. So,
and then make sure the parents dance together and then saves his future.
Kiss, and then sees the picture come back.
So in number 2, he ends up going to the future and then finds out.
Well, real quick. So in competition with you, my favorite, number 1 time travel movie, Back to the Future 2.
Okay.
So it makes sense.
Then you could explain. I don't remember.
So I'll go ahead and read the synopsis for it. Marty McFly has only just gotten back from the past. What?
Sorry, you're super prepared with the synopsis.
I type stuff out. Right. I got a printer working. Marty McFly has just only come back from the past when he is once again picked up by Dr. Emmett Brown. I love Doc. He's awesome. Mm-hmm. And sent through time to the future. Marty's job in the future is to pose as his own son to prevent him from being thrown into prison. Unfortunately, things get worse when the future changes the present. So, he gets the new DeLorean shows up, the one where you throw garbage in the back. I like that.
With what was it called? Yeah, it was like a compost machine that made fuel out of anything.
Right. Yeah. And then the DeLorean now flies, and he flies into the future. And what's cool is in the future we get the same. My reason I love this movie is because Back to the Future did a really good job of showing the present and then mirroring present with the past. Right? So you got to see like, oh, here's the town center, the town square. Yeah. This is the past version of the town square where the clock is working, where the mayor is sweeping in the soda shop and stuff like that. Well, Back to the Future 2 did that times 2. Like now we saw the future version of everything and how it changed into the future and stuff like that. So then they went back to the past again and did my all-time favorite thing time travel movies can do is they show something happen to our main character and the camera angle changes
watch it from another perspective at the same time.
I love that different angle when you're watching something else. And in Back to the Future 2, the reason it's the best at this, Prisoner of Azkaban does this as well. The reason this one's the best of it is because it's doing that to time travel. So normally you're just watching yourself do something like a daily event or whatever, something you've already done. But in Back to the Future 2, Marty McFly is watching Marty McFly who's already on a time adventure. Yeah. So it's like another layer to it. I just love that. Yeah. And then you have Doc Brown who's like, Doc Brown sees Marty go off, and then all of a sudden here comes Marty running around the corner. It's just so many just great shots. Look, I see you shaking.
I know.
Is that the one too where he's where Doc is where they're trying to get the lightning to hit the
clock tower?
Clock tower. And he's walking by.
Oh, and he talks to himself
that's setting it up. Looking. Remember, he's like, "How about you use this one?" He's like, "Well, yeah."
Yeah. So that's what I love.
That was a number 2 as well.
That part. Okay, so setting it up, and it was number 1. But referencing back to it, going back to it and stuff like that, that was number 2.
Yeah, there's so much I can't differentiate between the two movies.
They purposely are very close.
Yeah. Because 2 mirrors a lot of one and then adds a little to it too.
So you see the Biff scene again, you see all these scenes again, but with different perspectives and stuff like that. So I just really like, and then the side story where you have Biff like running around, who has now the copy of the future sports almanac, and is like wreaking havoc with sports almanac. I like how in the future it's like locked away in a safe and everything like that. It's like this made his fortune. Man. So it's just one of those things where it's time travel to the max. Like, it is the most time travel in a time travel movie.
Yeah. So the first movie kind of introduced the premise of it and how it works, and then the second one just exploited the hell out of it, used it in every way you can.
Yeah, and I think it raised the stakes. It raised, I mean, the directing wise, that movie stands out so hard. Like, the shots in that movie are so hard to do because they're doubling up on everything. I just think it's one of the best sequels out there, and it's just really, really good movie. So
now, how do you think those movies would look if we made them again today with CGI?
Bad.
That's kind of the charm. Is there's not a lot of special effects in that movie, you know. How do you mean, like, if we were to do it again, where he visits again?
Just make a whole
remake today.
Just remake them.
Like, there's no Back to the Future.
New actors and everything.
They're just now.
I would kind of just. It's one of those things where, like, there's a lot of things where they remake old movies and everybody's like, oh no, you can't do that. I'm like, well, give them a shot. It doesn't really hurt to try. It doesn't hurt the old movies for a new movie to exist. That one, though, I don't want them to do. I mean, Back to the Future was really hard on my childhood.
You'd probably have to change the story a little bit, too, and make it more...
A whole new one would be nice. Like, maybe like a whole different idea. Not a Marty McFly or anything like that.
Yeah.
But just like, I mean, Christopher Lloyd's still around, and he's doing good. He's actually a producer on Modern Family. I don't know if you guys know it or not. Yeah. But have him... Okay, he's still around or something like that, and have a way where he comes back with the train... And his kids are growing up, or maybe just have his kids come back,
take over,
and like, you know,
maybe
do
they're like really smart and they're the docs now or something.
Yeah, remember there was a cartoon where they were like going around in the train doing like train adventures. Yeah, remember that?
I remember
for a couple seasons.
Yeah,
Joe's shaking. Yeah,
that'd be cool though. Maybe Doc Brown goes back in time and gives himself a time machine when he was younger to do something, or maybe not even a time machine, some other technology, and then he has, you know, a certain quest with somebody else younger.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. But I don't know, you can't de-age him.
Number 2 is the one where he's playing like all the Johnny B. Good, right?
That's number 1.
Number 1, yeah.
Number 2 is where he's influencing that performance, though.
Yeah, where he sees himself on stage.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And where I think that's the one where he like locks the guy in the trunk.
Oh, that's right, because he's running down the stairs and he sees him playing. Yeah. And he sees the guy still giving the call again. He's like, "Hey, Chuck."
Yeah.
Listen, hear this guy.
So there's just so many great moments like that.
Those they both were just really good. I don't care for the third one as much. It was good.
To me, it's not. I don't care for it as much, but I still really enjoy it.
Yeah.
People always bash on it because it's hard to compare.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are so similar, and that one's more like a standalone.
Yeah. When you have 3, there's always going to be one, you know.
But one thing, it's just a real quick moment off the side, though. It is a standalone movie, but they still hit the same beats to where they show the Times Square again. Yeah. And it's like pre, you know. Yeah. So I do kind of like all that stuff. Yeah, it was really neat.
I don't know why, but the one thing I remember is when, like, he gets in the... What are you, yellow?
Yeah, well, that's the part I don't like is they lean on that for like no reason. Like, hey, we need a reason for Marty to want to fight all the time, and so they do this whole thing where like if you call him a coward, they'll always fight.
Yeah, always. You know,
it was never in the first movies that much. It wasn't like
but it was there.
Yeah,
it was like it was noticeable. Yeah, they did, but it was like noticeable just to where the McFlys, you know, not even just Marty, but it was just the McFlys. Did you see, you know, his dad when he was younger?
Yeah,
was getting called by, you know, the Biff 2 or whatever, you know, was getting called those names. Was it just a coward?
Well, I mean, they called him Yellow. They called him
Yellow was the chicken.
That's
what it was.
That's the
I couldn't remember chicken.
The robot one makes a little sound effect.
And it's just like, you know, just the slow pan.
Yeah.
You know, they just couldn't take that word. So I could see why. It was kind of cool, I guess, to see. Still brought into the
Calvin Klein in the past.
So. Yeah.
Or Clint Eastwood in that one, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
All right,
weren't they sold they offered they pitched the movie to Disney, and Disney didn't buy the movie. Did you ever read about that?
I didn't hear about that. No.
Yeah, they didn't want the movie because being Disney. Can you guess?
No.
The love scene between the mom and son.
Oh.
So Disney was like, nope.
Wow, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Because I love the little like motion ride over at Universal Studios that probably doesn't exist anymore, but was there. Man, Disney could have taken that and gone all kinds of places with it.
Yeah, they could have, cool. And it was just that little.
We would have definitely gotten remakes.
By now.
Yes, that's true. So maybe it's good that they passed up.
You'd be in the Marvel universe now already.
Yeah. Oh God.
All right, Joe. Let's see what you got. What
do you think?
I'm gonna go with I don't know. You know, I'm just gonna go with number 2. We're gonna say number Back to the Future 2. I love both of them.
After talking about it, I loved
both of them growing up, and I think all of them. They were all really good. I do remember 2 being a little bit more my favorite.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna go with we had a little more. to it.
2 has a lot of number 1 in it.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of just feel like there's not a big difference, but it's the whole perspective change too that I love too. I mean, we saw in Endgame, you know. I love when time travel movies do that type of thing.
The Hulk scene in Endgame was delightful. And he's like, seems gratuitous. He's like, smash.
I was dead because they're talking and he's like, why did you give it to, they're giving that Loki thing away.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we didn't know yet. We didn't know we didn't know yet. That made me laugh. And then Cap goes in and he's like, oh, I'm taking it now from the director or whatever. And they're all like, getting ready to shoot. And he just, Elijah.
That was an audible gasp in the theater when that happened.
I was laughing so hard. Good.
Okay, so speaking of Endgame, for number 2, I have Avengers Endgame.
Me too, actually.
Okay. So let's talk more Avengers in the time travel aspect, especially, okay?
Yeah.
So the key with the Avengers Endgame, the way that their time travel works is, and they explain it pretty well. It was kind of like, oh, that's a good way to look at it. I don't like it, but it's true. To where when you go to the past, you're dragging basically your past into your future, a version of your past into the future, right?
Yeah. So it's not that you move backwards in time; it's that you take the physical space of that time and bring it to the future.
Right.
A piece of
you're
it,
duplicating it, basically. Yeah. So you can't do anything that will affect your present day, which is a fun way to do time travel because then you're just like horsing around.
You can go wreak havoc.
Yeah, and then if you affect something, you can so if you take one of the gems, the time gem or whatever gem, you can then go back into the past, put it exactly where it was, and then it will keep that time linear.
Yeah. So no matter what, your timeline won't be affected by changes in the past, but another timeline will be generated when you affect that past.
Right.
So
I really liked the movie. I mean, it was a great movie. Anthony and Joe Russo, which Joe Russo was in the movie. You guys, he was the one during the support group scene earlier on.
Yeah.
He's the one with the glasses that went on a date. That's one of the directors. That's one of the 2 brothers. Huh. The elderly gentleman that was in that group, he's the one that invented Thanos in the comic books.
Really?
So there's all kinds of Easter eggs in those movies.
That's cool.
Yeah. They're the ones that directed it. They also did Infinity War, Civil War, and Winter Soldier, which, I mean, that's a list of amazing Marvel movies right there. Mm-hmm. They're also producer for a lot of Community episodes, which, just a little side note on that. I liked it because this story was a 10-year culmination. So they had a lot of time travel. We've seen it all before. We got to see the different perspectives again. Mm-hmm. It was just really good, and they used the quantum realm for time travel. That was their time travel, like the DeLorean for the last one.
You want to explain if people don't understand how it worked, the quantum time travel thing?
When you go down, so when you shrink, you're shrinking to a level, and we get past we're at below Adam's level, which is understandable because we don't even know how far.
Yeah, the smallest thing we know how to look at is atoms, right?
And so we don't really even know what's below that. So there is a whole thing there could be a whole universe down that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So as you get smaller, you get to a point where time doesn't move the same way.
You actually leave space, right? Being subatomic.
Yeah. So you end up getting into there's in the comic books there's a whole universe in there basically.
Yeah.
And so you go down, and then if you can. And it's kind of just a jumbled mess in the show. In the movies, it's just a jumbled mess. You get down far enough, if you can find the pathway, you can come back up. You can get big again, but in a different time.
Yeah.
So Tony ends up figuring out a way to map it out, and he's like, if you go this way, you can map out this way. And so we see. I mean, they simplify everything, of course.
Yeah.
So the idea is you're getting so small that you get below time and space, and then you get big into the part of time and space you want.
Yeah.
So that's how that works.
That's pretty cool.
Quantum realm physics for you. But yeah. Anything else you wanted to shout about time travel in that movie?
No, I think they did a good job with it. I like it. Only thing I noted that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but they, just in the movie, they could have tweaked. I guess it doesn't even matter, but what's her name? When Scarlett Johansson dies or goes and jumps off the cliff, he should have gotten the little vial of the pin particles that are...
Ooh, that's a good point.
She dropped it. I mean, and they're supposed to be fragile, right? Couldn't they have exploded when she fell?
Well, not even, but they were so limited. That's a good point. They could have used
She had her return supply.
Damn, John, I don't know why. I haven't even heard anybody talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know. While they two are debating about who's going to go, I figured one of them is just going to throw that little vial back so the other one can catch it and have one more jump.
My whole thing that I didn't care for is the fact that I didn't like that scene just because we would have talked about this on the podcast, but it felt like it really deflated the moment. I think that it should have been. I think it should have first have been Barton. I think it should have been Hawkeye.
Yeah.
But when they're going back and forth, I didn't like that at all. But there was a moment where he had her. He blew up the arrow. She knocked off to the side, and then they even did the slow motion of him running off, and then the leap. It was all slow motion. Okay, beautiful cinematography to show that he's giving it up. it's for his family and stuff like that. And then she goes and saves him Batman style.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just took away all the emotional sting.
Yeah.
So then when she dies, you're just like, well, I just spent up all my emotions, so I don't care about this moment.
This is roller coaster. Right?
Yeah. And it's like almost silly and stuff. I just felt like that part, that was the worst part of the movie, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
Was that scene. But yeah, so time travel wise, I kind of want to keep bringing up the time travel part of this movie.
Yeah.
We got to see a lot of the emotional payoffs of people going back into time and seeing these again, so I thought it was cool.
I think you guys mentioned before, they did really good perspectives where, like, when they go back to New York to reclaim the gems, they can see the battle going on, and then from
like when Hulk was there and he's like, "Here, smash some things."
Yeah.
Trying to act like himself, act like regular Hulk.
Yeah, and then we got to see somebody who sits outside of time and space, basically, the Ancient One. He was like, "Oh yeah, cool. Doctor Strange won't be around, or Steven won't be around for
another
5 years, and he's 10 blocks that way doing surgery right now," which is just shows how amazing she is.
Yeah,
and how Doctor Strange being the best of one means that he'll at some point be even better than that.
Yeah. So when she understood that he gave away the stone freely, she turned it over. Well, I don't really get exactly why.
Because
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, because then she realizes that
must be the 1 in 14 million.
She realizes that there's a reason that he did it because he is the best of it. So if he says to give it up, then that means that she doesn't know something because he's the best version of the Ancient Ones.
Okay.
Like or of the what is it? Whatever it's called.
The Order of.
Everybody's yelling at me because
Order of the Phoenix sketch.
Yeah, Order of the Phoenix, of course. Yeah, that's the term. Yeah. That's gonna bug me. Anyways, so I think that's about it for that one, right? And game number 2.
I think I'll choose Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Yeah, right. All right. So what do you got for your number 3, John?
Number 3, I'm about to say Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
All right. I'm going to compete with you right now. I love Bill and Ted. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
This is a tough list. A lot of good movies on it.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
I'm going Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
That's also good.
Yeah.
All right. So Bill and Ted, I like it because it's just funny. They jump back and forth through time and they don't really have any concern about affecting the timeline or something. They kidnap key characters from history. And they use a phone booth for it, and it was just funny. I don't know. At some point, the phone booth breaks, and they get stuck in a different time. And I don't know if the difference between Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey.
That messes me up a lot.
Yeah, because both of them to me, it's just like Back to the Future. They're both like one long movie to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
Excellent Adventure is the one though where they have a report, right, and they're gonna bring everybody up from the past.
Yeah,
and so they bring like Napoleon and
they even do that little time trick in the office where he's trying to trick his dad, and he leaves a tape recorder, a voice recorder, in the other side of the room, and hey dad, hey come over here, and then his dad goes.
There's one part with a garbage can too. They do the time trick and stuff like that.
And then he's like, okay, write down. We have to make sure we go back and we put that there so that it'll happen just in time for us.
I just love it. There's another one coming out. It's going to be great. I'm super excited for it.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. They're working on that right now, huh? Yeah. So it was just funny, good family, wholesome.
That is a good movie. And my favorite part is when they're all in the mall. They bring back like Joan of Arc and stuff like that in the mall. Yeah. And Joan of Arc's doing like the dance studio aerobics.
Beethoven's doing some huge performance with all these keyboards, electronic keyboards.
It's just a cute movie. It's really, really fun. So that is a good one. But my competition for that is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It's my favorite Harry Potter movie.
So I don't remember the time travel aspect of that. I remember Hermione has a little necklace thing that spins.
Yeah. The movie came out June 4th, 2004. And God.
I know. I feel old. Right? 2004?
And that's the third movie. So it was before that. You know.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I got the little synopsis for it here real quick. I'll just read. It's Harry's third year at Hogwarts. Not only does he have a new defense against the dark arts teacher, like always, but is also in trouble brewing. Convicted murderer Sirius Black has escaped from the wizard prison and is coming after Harry. So that's another thing too, is we got Sirius Black introduced, which is one of my favorite characters in all the movies. I haven't read the books. I know Squeaks is yelling now. But we had like a lot of new characters, and we had like this idea of Harry's group is the second iteration. The first iteration was his parents, Sirius Black, and then the werewolf.
The new generation has to learn how to fight the dark arts before it's too late.
Yeah, so I really like the idea that we got a little bit more of Harry Potter's family, and we got to see like anyways, there's all kinds of stuff that was really cool about the movie. But the time travel aspect of it was the whole time Hermione's like doubling up on classes because she has a time turner, so she's using it to go back in time and take a different class at a different spot. So she's doubling up, just classic Hermione, and then she uses it to watch them, like it's another thing with Back to the Future 2 where they're watching themselves like do things and stuff like that. So I really like that, again, that shot.
Yeah.
It's a little easier in this movie than it was in Back to the Future because they filmed it all at the same time. The other movie, they actually had to go back and redo a lot of shots. It's just a fun movie. I think it's my favorite Harry Potter, and it's really good. Yeah, that's it.
So what did she use the time travel for other than her taking multiple classes?
Well, in the movie, they use it to fight because they realized that. What part was it they had to go back for? It was part of like saving Sirius Black because they find out Sirius Black's actually a good guy, and that the rat that not Hermione has, but anyways, Ron has the whole time is actually a bad guy, so they have to go back and fix that and stuff like that. It's been a bit since I've seen the Harry Potter movies, to be honest with you.
So no good defense, gotcha.
I'll admit that I should have watched that movie more recently.
Yeah. I know it's been. I was looking up lists of time travel movies too, and I remember that on there, and I was like, I remember Hermione uses her little necklace, but I don't remember anything else.
Which it brings up all kinds of plot holes because then the time turner still exists in the universe when they're doing everything else and could have really used time travel.
Right.
So that was one thing. I was like, I kind of wish I had mentioned like, I lost the time turner to my dad, took it from me. Or
go back to the time when your parents died. Now that you're all fully strong and stuff like that, and go kill Voldemort back then.
You can't say his name, John. My God.
Done said it.
We do not speak of.
He's been vanquished already. It's okay.
Oh, thank God. Woo, thank you, Harry.
How do you know?
Time travel.
Yeah. Actually, it all does take place back in the past. So we're all right, Joe. What are you thinking?
I like Harry Potter more.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling I could pull him with that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So, all right. What do you got for number 4 then, there, Taff?
Are we on number 3? Oh, 4.
We're on 4 right now.
Forgot Endgame. We just
I'm
didn't
so
really.
Harry Potter.
So easy.
Okay, this was I had Arrival there at first, but I moved Arrival out. It's my honorable mentions now. Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Okay, so Groundhog Day, we have Bill Murray, who's this like real jerk anchor.
What's he in?
What's he in?
Yeah.
He's
Bill
in
Murray?
like Ghostbusters and the rest of my childhood.
Oh,
are you
Dan
serious right now?
Aykroyd? Dan Aykroyd?
No, okay, you're joking. I almost had to like stop this and bring up pictures of Bill Murray. Like, guess what? We're watching Groundhog Day and a bunch of other stuff, Scrooge and stuff.
You've seen Groundhog Day, right, Joe?
Once.
Oh, okay.
I've seen most of these movies just like once. So that's why I
Groundhog
don't
Day,
remember
to me,
them.
is one of the most repeatable.
Yeah.
No, it really is.
It's a knee slapper.
Hello. Anyway, so yeah, he's this jerk, whatever. Then he wakes up the next day, and it's actually not the next day; it's his same day.
Yeah.
And he goes over the same day over and over again until he finally gets, I can't remember her name, but anyways, to fall in love with him. And generally, he becomes a better person, and then his day continues. But it has some of probably one of the best montages ever, and Happy Death Day try to copy it, where you see him just try random things. Like he's just like, I'm gonna be an expert at this today. I'm gonna try to just the part where he just like runs off a cliff with the groundhog in the van. He does random things, and of course, every time he meets this friend, this one guy who used to know him in school, whatever. The first day he's just an annoying dude, but then as the days goes on, some days he just knocks him out. Because he sees him. Other days he's like, "Oh my God, tell me all about life insurance," and stuff like that. So, it's a gem. You can rewatch it all you want. It's just really really good. And it has a cult following to where people will do math and calculate. There's different versions of the math. Calculate how long he's been stuck in time travel. Some say he's like, oh yeah, he was there for 10,000 years. The director, Raimi, I think he said it was 3 years. He had lived out 3 years in there and stuff like that. So it bounces back and forth and like that. Like I had a little black book that he was like, so what's your teacher's name? What's this? And then like, I'll see you tomorrow. And then the next day he's like, oh yeah, Miss Stewart was really cool, huh? Stuff like that. So he was, really hooking up all the ladies and stuff. Yeah. It was just really cool. It was a really good movie. I liked it. It's very rewatchable. Like all Raimi movies, honestly. Yeah.
So what was what in the end got him out of the loop? Falling in love with that girl? Or the girl
becoming
falling in love with him?
Better person, but falling in love with her falling in love with him was because he was a better person.
So was there nothing in there explained like why he was in his loop or what caused any of that?
No, there was no like. I think there in the first draft there was something with like a gypsy he ran over with a car kind of thing, something like that. There was some weird in the first draft,
like the movie Thinner.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's a classic. Mm-hmm. But anyways, but yeah, there was nothing shown.
All right, I will rebuttal with the Butterfly Effect. Have you seen that movie?
Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, I remember you a picture.
Yeah, paint me a picture.
The brother from My Name Is Earl.
Yeah, exactly. Two good actors. So it's all about Ashton Kutcher.
It was very dark, wasn't it?
It was. It was good though.
So, of course, I can't remember the ending, but starting from the beginning, he goes through.
I remember the ending. Ooh, man, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I kind of do now too. Actually, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
So It's all about how don't fuck with time. It's pretty much what it comes down to. This kid throughout his life would black out for like a couple hours or whatever growing up, and he didn't know what it was or why. But then when he gets older, he realizes, and I want to say his dad told him about it too. His dad had the same power or something like that. But he's able to jump back to those times where he blacked out. I think you can only do it once though, or there's a limit to how much he can do it. I think each time period, each moment that he blacked out, he can only jump to once. Right? Do you have anything?
No. While growing up, he used to have blackouts. He didn't understand what the blackouts were about, right?
Yeah.
And then in the future, he suddenly starts to do this, like jump back in time, and then we learn. And the whole point.
But he has control of it, right? He can choose to jump back, right? Not like accident.
I think he can't choose, but yeah, what we learned is that the twist. I don't know if you want to explain the twist of this movie, right? Do you?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Good.
So the blackouts are actually when he went back. So he would have a blackout as a kid, and all of a sudden he'd wake up and his uncle's beating up.
So that's a window in time that he's able to go back to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
relive.
He sees that during the blackouts was when he went back in time to beat up his uncle because he was a pedophile or some crazy thing like that. You know?
So he caused the blackouts in the future.
In going back in time, yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. I always thought it was just a window that was open for him to go back to at some point.
The key to that movie, the big effect, the butterfly effect, the idea that you kill a butterfly in Africa and it kills somebody in America or something like that, right? Is that as he went back in time to fix things, he kept messing them up and changing the future and stuff like that. So that was the whole point.
He would go back, like when he was an adult, he'd go back to when he was like 22 or something like that. And, I can't remember what he did, but, not kiss that girl so that he could eventually find his wife or something like that. Well, because he kept trying to bring back, I think one woman. I don't know.
It was
a complicated story, but he tried something just not that long ago and it didn't work out. So he jumped back. Okay, I'm gonna go 3 more years back, and then he tweaked something there, and then things would be even more messed up. And he'd like keep going back further and further in his past to try to just correct everything. And every time he'd make a change, it'd come back even more messed up. And then his friend was like bad into drugs and or whatever. It was just one thing after another. And at the very end, he jumped back so far, messed up his life so much that he was a complete paraplegic. And no arms, no legs. And
that's right.
I'm pretty sure the movie just ended with him like
staring off in the distance, something like that.
Yeah, like he knows he does no more jumps and he has no arms or legs.
Man, that movie was dark as hell.
He lives with the fact that he's messed up his life through time travel so much that there's nothing he can do now. But
isn't everybody else's life okay now?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
He kept trying to fix something for himself. And everybody else, especially his best friend that was the brother from My Name is Earl.
Yeah.
His life kept getting worse and worse, and eventually he's like, I don't even know you, and was trying to fight with him and stuff like that. And he was like some biker or something.
Man, yeah, that was a good movie.
Finally everybody else's life was straight, and he was the only one that had to suffer for the rest of his life. That was kind of cool.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. When that came out back when we were young,
it must have been early
2002?
Yeah. That movie was like that rocked you. Everybody at school was talking about that movie.
Yeah.
That was crazy. First off, Ashton Kutcher was like that guy from that '70s show.
Yeah,
he was
2004.
Bum Dutch.
Yeah, remember that stuff.
It's probably still around.
Yeah,
so it's a good movie.
All right, Joe, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking Butterfly Effect. Nice. I liked it. Painted a good picture.
Fair.
I do remember the blackouts. That's like the slight thing I remember from. I remember just like the earliness of the movie.
Yeah, and I didn't realize until Frank pointed out that the blackouts were inflicted by his future self. I thought he just happened to black out and it provided a window for himself.
Oh no, that's like the best part because they actually show one of the blackouts.
Yeah,
and it's when he beat up his uncle or whoever that guy was.
Yeah,
it was like, oh man, that's crazy cool. So
yeah,
but yeah, Groundhog Day is super good, but I think the reason this one's winning out is because that one's more time travel-y.
Oh yeah, the time travel makes the movie.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Because I think Groundhog Day is a better movie overall.
I agree.
But I think
rewatchable for sure. Yeah. Once you know the ending of Butterfly Effect, you're good.
Yeah.
We should watch Shutter Island today.
Dude, I'll go get popcorn. You good?
I actually have popcorn at my house. I still have movie theater popcorn.
Are we going to your house and watching it?
Not a good spot to watch it, man. But I can come back.
All right. What's your fifth one?
For number 5, I got Idiocracy. Have you ever seen Idiocracy, Joe?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's pretty hilarious.
It's actually worth a watch.
It's pretty funny.
One of John's favorite movies, though.
It is our future. I mean,
our future.
So this guy is
should be so lucky.
Cryogenically frozen and comes back in the future 100 years later or something like that.
Say 100, yeah,
more or less. And
I'm sorry. What? I'm thinking of the fast food places. In the future?
I don't remember. I remember, now we own your children or something like that.
Okay. They're watering the crops with like Gatorade.
Oh, yeah. Like and he's the guy. So it comes back to the future. Our future's totally jacked up. It's owned by corporations. The president's probably the dumbest person on earth.
Yeah.
Oh, so we made it.
It was funny is to decide what you're gonna do, which is the part that I think like, oh wait, maybe we should use this.
Yeah.
Is they do an IQ test and then they figure out your job. Well, he does an IQ test. He's like a mediocre or dumb person in our time, or a stupid person in our time. They do an IQ test. And they're like, you're so smart, you have to be the new president.
Yeah.
And the president's like, here's the keys, man. And you earned it. Like, you're way smarter than us. And so then they're doing stupid things. Like, first off, the president wears, like, the American flag leather vest. It's played by Terry Crews. He's the president.
Yeah.
And he always rides around on a big chopper. It's like the presidential chopper, like the motorcycle. But, yeah.
You remember he ends up in prison at one point, and... It's funny because everybody's so dumb because in the future, I guess everyone's just complete idiots. So he's in the line to get food or something like that. And it's like, there's a line for food and a line to get out. And he tells one of the guys, oh, I'm in the wrong line. I'm supposed to be in that line. He's like, well, what are you doing, dummy? Get in the right line. And so he goes and gets the line to leave. Okay. And they just let him leave. Yeah. And like, come on, dummy, what are you trying to do?
The idea is that it could be controversial if you really think about it too long. But the smart people are too smart to breed nowadays because they're like, we're busy with work and stuff like that. And the dumb people just stay at home all day watching Jerry Springer and breeding. Yeah. So eventually in the future, it's just the dumb people's kids
cheating on their families and making even more kids and stuff like that.
So it's that
the dumb and the poor keep humping, and the rich are conservative and don't, so they die off.
Yeah, but it's a pretty fun movie.
And it's all about the main character is trying to find a way to go back to his time. So I
was just about to ask, did I miss the time travel part?
Yeah, well, because
he went to the future.
He went into the future.
Okay.
And so the whole movie, he's trying to find a way to get back to his time, right? Back to 100 years past. And so one of the guys, the guy that he meets in the very beginning, tells him, "Oh, I could show you where the time machine is." He's like, "Really? Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's just at this one place, whatever." He's like, "Oh my God, that'd be so great!" But along the way, he's like, "Well, first, I just need you to help me do this." And so all kinds of stuff goes on. He ends up in prison, ends up becoming the president, all this different stuff. Yeah. And then finally at the end of the movie, he gets into the time machine, and come to find out it's a carnival ride. That's the time machine. But in this process, he'd fixed like the government and helped the world so much that he's like, you know what, me and that this one girl that he met and this idiot friend of his will have to work together to rebuild the country and the world. So
I really like Terry Crews in that movie.
Yeah,
he's great. Just the president who's like just rides around on a chopper and has like machine guns because they're cool.
Yeah. And there was
sounds Terry Crews.
The Gatorade thing was funny too because the guy was like, "Yeah, can I just have like a cup of water?" And somebody looks at him like, "Water? You mean like from the toilet?" And he's like, "No, just like drinking water." And then that's like what all they drink is Gatorade because there's some big corporation that sells this Gatorade like stuff. And so they pitched it at some point like, "Oh, it's even better than water. You should be watering your plants with it." And so now all the farms are watering everything with this wannabe Gatorade.
Shows like some big guy out there on the sprinkler in the field just trying to drink up all the Gatorade out of it.
Yeah, they just don't use actual water anymore.
All right, so my counter to Idiocracy, which is a fun watch, Men in Black 3. So I really like all the Men in Blacks. As we're getting ready for Men in Black International, which is the fourth one coming up with Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson, I'm realizing I really like Men in Black movies, actually.
Good for children.
They're fun romps. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not necessarily... Oh, okay, well, if you want to call them for children, I just think they're fun romps, you know? Yeah. Men in Black 3 was one of the more thought-provoking ones because they go back into Tommy Lee Jones' past and work with Thanos to Josh Brolin, where they...
just trying to play on your heartstrings.
I mean, when you think about it, it could be Thanos that they're messing with.
Yeah. And Tommy Lee Jones worked with the Captain America in the first Captain America movie, so
this is like Avengers parallel.
So anyway, so Avengers prequel, and in the future we later on have like Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson's in the next one, which is literally Thor
and the new king of Asgard.
Yeah,
the queen of Asgard.
Valkyrie. Thank you.
I'm saying we should start like a podcast where it's just like movie conspiracy thing. You know what I mean?
You know how much work I can't get you to write down 5 time travel movies, and you're wanting to come
3.5.
There's a reason you're the judge all the time, Joe. Hey, all you want to do is listen to time travel or to the theories. Anyway, so they go back to the past, figure out what's going on with Tommy Lee Jones, and to stop this one guy who's like their main villain this whole time. Who I really like the actor. I can't remember his name, but he's been on like another period and stuff like that. It's just a really good movie. Has a really heartwarming moment later on at the end of the movie. I won't spoil for anybody. I think it's one of Will Smith's best movies. It's Tommy Lee Jones being Tommy Lee Jones, and then Josh Brolin nails it in this movie because he has to act like Tommy Lee Jones. freaking nails it.
Now I remember which one you're talking about with the villain rides a motorcycle from space. He's called
He breaks out of jail and stuff like that. I can't remember his name though.
Boris. Boris the animal.
Yeah. Dang, good job.
Yeah. That was a good movie. Now I was trying to think of like what movie is he talking about with time travel and stuff like that. But yeah, I remember.
They have to go to like Studio 54 and stuff like that. They go back into the past and so it's just a real fun movie. And that one, the ending of it, man, was so good. I don't want to spoil anything, but it was a really, really good ending. I really enjoyed it. So.
Josh Brolin's doing pretty good for himself, isn't he?
He is.
He's been around for a while.
Well,
too.
he's in Deadpool. Yeah, he's been around for a while, but I mean, he's doing good.
I know. He was in Deep Blue.
Deep Blue.
Is that the one with the shark?
No, that's Deep Blue Sea. I think I got the wrong. With Jessica Alba.
I don't know.
And Paul Walker. They're like sea treasure divers or whatever, and he's like the bad guy from the other sea.
Oh, I haven't seen that one actually.
Yeah, I just remember that because
Jessica
Alba is like that was like top tier Jessica Alba.
Yeah. I like her in way off topic again. I like her in the A-Team, the movie that they did for the A-Team.
I don't know why the thought. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All they get is Deep Blue Sea. Sorry, you're wrong.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Deep Blue movie.
So what are you thinking?
This one I think I got to think a little bit on. I like the picture you painted me, John, and I like the you are Picasso, but I like the Men in Blacks, but I don't know if I like the third one.
Really?
Yeah, the first one was original. The second one was like okay, and the third one I was just kind of like meh.
But as for a time travel movie, comparing the two time travel movie wise,
do you remember what they do in the? I know you don't want to spoil too much of the movie. I'm sure everybody's seen it by now, but
spoiler.
Remember, yeah. Do you remember what they do with the time travel? Because I don't remember much of that part of it.
Well, the ending, the reason that the time travel like hits home so hard is we see that Will Smith's dad dies at the testing site or the launch pad or whatever, and Tommy Lee Jones watches this. Josh Brolin does. I'm sorry, watches this and then takes in the young boy, his son, and like makes sure that he's like raised correct and stuff like that. So we see this whole time when Tommy Lee Jones has been the partner of Will Smith, he's actually been the like father in the shadows watching over because he respects the dad because his dad saved Earth back in the day. So it was just one of those moments where it was
but he didn't raise him, right? He put him in like a foster home.
He was always like I think he found it was his mom that raised him, whatever. But he was always kind of like protecting. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like how Leela was raised by her parents, not knowing that her parents were in the sewers all the time, giving gifts and stuff. It was like that kind of thing.
I gotcha.
For the sake of all that, I think I'll go Men in Black.
Attaboy.
There is a little more time travel.
Yeah, there's more. There's actual depth to the
use of time travel. Yours pretty funny.
You should watch it. Idiocracy is really.
It's hilarious. Yeah, it's a good, funny just watch.
You ever see like Mars Attacks? It's kind of like that level of just like good shenanigans.
Mars Attacks, that's a good one.
Yeah,
we should watch that too.
Yeah. Honorable mention for Hot Tub Time Machine. I hear it's amazing. Oh, yeah. I've only seen like half of it, but
and the sequel's really good too.
My
there's an
honorable mention. I really like Midnight in Paris. And I know you said you haven't seen it. It's kind of one. I don't know if I'd consider it chick flicky.
Yeah.
Maybe I did watch it with Yannette. We were just chilling and put it on, and she was kind of into it. But it's a cool little just story that I do recommend you guys maybe sit down and watch it. I think you might like it.
I'll check it out.
I wouldn't say it's like super time travel, but at the same time, he is interacting with a lot of people from the past.
Yeah.
But it's more through like I want to say daydream from what I remember. He's kind of more just like dozing off, but I don't remember if it was actually like somebody coming from the past taking him to the spot where he's at, but I don't know. Anyways, I like it.
There's a lot of these movies we went over we didn't remember all the details too well. So I know there's a lot of fans that are like, why the hell do I listen to these guys if they don't know
what they're talking about?
Have to, I'm like, okay, why did they need that time turner? So I know. Right. But anyways, let's go ahead and go over our top 5. Number 1, Back to the Future Part 2. Number 2, Avengers Endgame. Number 3 was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Number 4, Butterfly Effect. Number 5, Men in Black 3. I think I won. Because I'm going to count that Endgame, especially for me, so. Okay. That was my Endgame that won that one.
Pretty sure we both put that one up.
Yeah. All right, guys. Next up will be the Detective Pikachu review.
Nice.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my
Alrighty, let's get into our Detective Pikachu review. And it's done by director Rob Letterman. He's done Shark Tank, Monsters vs. Aliens, Goosebumps from 2015. The actors are Ryan Reynolds, Justin Smith, Catherine Newton, Bill Nighy, and a couple others. Ryan Reynolds is the one that's still in the show. Everybody's looking forward to seeing Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. He's playing actual Pikachu, so that's pretty cool. Let's talk about the plot. It starts off with this kid who well, I say kid, he's probably like in his early 20s, and he's working in insurance. His dad is a detective that moved to the big city. He's in a small little town. He doesn't want to have a Pokemon partner, is what they call him, or a Pokemon of his own. And his father goes missing and presumed dead. So he goes to the big city to kind of get his things. In the process, finds out that his dad's Pokemon partner, which is a Detective Pikachu, is there and can talk to him. Oh, the other Pokemon, they can feel the essence of them. Like, they can feel their mood and attitude, but they can't, like, talk. Well, anyways, they work together to try to figure out what's happening with the dad, and it escalates, of course. It's a real, like, noir kind of story. Like, you tell already from, like, the detective part of it. But it's a good story. It's a mediocre story, but it's, like, good for the whole family. That's one thing to kind of walk away with this, is that this movie's kind of, it's 4-quadrant. It really is kind of just an everybody can go kind of thing. It's not super engaging. It's not, like, super complicated or anything like that. It's good. It's a fun movie. Personally, one thing I tried to hold back on is the nostalgia effect, because it hit hard with me. I grew up on the Pokemon games. I played a lot of Blue, Yellow. I got really into Yellow. And then coming home from school every day, that was what you did. You got home, you watched Pokemon, and you watched maybe some Digimon, and then you watched Simpsons. I watched Simpsons reruns. So that was my day every day in the TV in the kitchen. I would sit there and watch Pokemon, and then I would watch Simpsons. So I whenever there's like a couple notes from the old original song, it hit me, so I was like, oh, don't fall into that. Just kind of review this movie as an outsider, and that was hard. So let's go ahead. We're going to be judging this on our normal review process. I am recording this a few days afterwards, and I've got a bit of a sore throat, so I'm sorry if my sound is off or my throat's sounding weird or whatever. It's because I'm trying to talk through the pain. But let's get into it. The plot-wise, it follows a familiar story we've heard before in Pokemon. I'm not going to try to give any spoilers, but there's going to be a spoiler for review. But it is a familiar plot a familiar story we know from before. There are some aspects that can add future IP. It does seem to take place, I want to say it was 20 years later than the original Kanto story, if you know what I mean, or the original Pokemon movie. It could be considered after that too. It could be in the same storyline. I believe they said 20 years later, so that's kind of cool that it's still within the movie, but it's like enough forward to where we don't have to mess with Ash or anything like that. One big thing with the plot is the twist at the end. I feel like takes away from something I wanted to see in the future. Again, won't spoil it, but it was kind of this thing that they had built up in the movie that were like, man, it's cool. I really want to explore this. Is it something that can happen for everybody? And then they took it away, and they're kind of like, well, I guess it's better for this story, but it takes away from what I wanted to see in the future that would have been really cool. It's a one-off story, really. But the world building can build into a lot more movies. It's kind of like, I've heard the words Iron Man tossed around, like where Iron Man may be a one-off story, like you could just go to Iron Man. But then in the MC universe, you have a bunch of other stories that fit in there. Well, we can get another story where Ki and his Bulbasaur are doing whatever. Or where we Team Squirtle Squad. I love Squirtle Squad. It's one of my favorite old episodes. We can see Squirtle Squad in this episode. There was, at the end, there was a group of Squirtles talking to each other, and one of them had his back turned. I'm like, please turn around with sunglasses on, man. Turn around with sunglasses on, So, but I think the plot was kind of shallow. It wasn't all that great. It wasn't outstanding. It's fun, but not great. As I'm writing my review, it slowly started to slip, But I ended up going out of 20. I went 15. I think it's fair. It's a good, mediocre story. Nothing outstanding, but not like disappointing. Actors and characters wise, guys, Ryan Reynolds nails it. What can I say? I didn't expect him to. I thought it was kind of weird when I first heard, like, oh, he's going to play Pikachu? That's weird. And then when you saw the trailers for it, you're like, oh, man, he's kind of like Ted. But he's not really aggressive in the same way you would think of as Ted. No, this is definitely a family movie. He's kind of sassy or a smart aleck. And in the same way that Ash's Pikachu was, where it would kind of give him sass. And it's the same thing that we get out of Ryan Reynolds, but it's actually vocalized. He does a really good job. His personality makes the small Pokemon feel big on the screen, so that's cool. Justin Smith, I think, did okay as Tim Goodman. There was a lot of emotional parts for him, which he seemed to act okay with them. Nothing outstanding, nothing like showstopper. Catherine Newton, I think, did really well. She portrayed this like go-getter reporter. You know, they did really well. I think that the best acting in it was by Bill Nighy. He was excellent as Howard Clifford. I really wish we had more screen time with him though. But I think really him and Ryan Reynolds carried the show, and I'm gonna give him a 14 out of 20 on that one. Next up, let's look at directing. Like I said, this director has done some other works in the past. The one that I have remembered the most, and actually I was like, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I was like, man, I kind of liked that movie when it came out, was Shark Tale with Will Smith and Jack Black. And all the other movies I've been at with Jack Black too, so I'm surprised there's not a little Jack Black cameo in this. Is Rob Letterman. He did a good job of making these like Pokemon battles and certain shots, like they're called hero shots when you see them in hero, like you know what I'm talking about, where it's like a guy standing perfectly right, or action shots that are like, this is for the trailer. So, and I'll use trailer shots as examples. So the one where like Pikachu's almost bitten by Charizard, that shot was awesome. The shot where Mewtwo, which is my favorite Pokemon of all time, Mewtwo busts through an exploding Pikachu balloon, and then he stands there and he's like, boom, hero shot. Like, oh man, it looks so cool. A lot of those are really cool. One thing I think he did really well is he kind of showed us, a lot like Shark Tale, why I brought that up is he showed us this world and put a story in the world, but it's like just one story. There could be stories here, stories there. So he did a really good job of taking the initial steps into building the world. Like Shark's Tale's story was okay, it was good, but what we really got was this cool world where they, have a car wash for whales and stuff like that. Like it was just a fun world to be in. So it was probably one of the stronger points. His directing was good. I would have to say I really liked it. I'm gonna give that one a 14 out of 15. I really liked it. Some things I would take down was that he didn't stay consistent, which this is more in CGI, which I think really fell short. But I felt like Pikachu didn't stay the same consistent height, which is something that's kind of common when you're CGIing with real life. But one moment when he's sitting on the counter, he's like seems real small. Then he's on his shoulder, he seems a little bit too big for the shoulders, stuff like that. All right, score and soundtrack. I think it was one of the higher points of the movie. And again, guys, I was fighting nostalgia on this. It was so hard. I'll just go over three of my favorite parts, music-wise, sound-wise. Loudreds, it's a Pokemon that has like speaker ears. If you guys know, like purple with like speaker-looking ears. They're at this Pokemon fight. It's an underground Pokemon fight. When they go crazy, I don't want to say how they go crazy or why they go crazy, but they go crazy. And also like this riot breaks out because all the Pokemon are going crazy. They have the ability to like blast music, right? Or blast sound. So they're using them as a sound system for the actual event. And so when they go crazy, they jump down and they like blast out this like techno house music sound, and it becomes the soundtrack of this big chaotic moment. And it really fit well. It brought the sound-based characters, it brought the sound out and carried the plot forward at that moment, carried the story forward at that moment. I really liked that. That was cool. Here's the part. Actually, the whole theater was kind of like laughing and cheering at this moment. But Ryan Reynolds at one point does sing the original theme song in a real melancholy way. But it was just like everybody around me was cheering and laughing and like, oh yeah, that's cool. Because I mean, guys, I don't care if you're a Pokemon fan or not. You got to agree, best theme song of all time is got to be that Pokemon theme song. Gotta catch 'em all. You know what I'm talking about. And then the last scene. Make sure you guys stick around. There is no post credits for this movie, right? We're all expecting it now with MCU movies, but they do start off right away with an old like Game Boy, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Red, maybe Yellow fight scene breaking out, and then it's that music throughout the whole thing. It's like inspired by the music. It's a better version of the music. Again, nostalgia probably is affecting me on this one, but it was such a good soundtrack and score to this movie. I'm giving it a 15 out of 15. A little bit of bias, and yeah, I don't care. I really enjoyed it. All right, production design and set and stuff like that. It reminded me, like it starts with two towns. A small one in the beginning, and then the big one that he stays in Rhyme City. The small of the town really did remind me of like Pallet Town or something like that. It was a real small, little quaint town with like grassy areas. You're like, okay, you go around there, find Pokemon. They have a Cubone out there in the beginning. It was really cool. Then we get to Rhyme City, which was awesome. It's a city, again, a lot of this is world building, but it's a city where Pokemon and humans live together instead of catching one and then having the battle. So they actually live together. And so you're seeing these Pokemon do like jobs around town. There was, going off the trailer again, there's the Machamp who's like guiding traffic because there's a Snorlax sleeping in the road. I'm trying to just use trailer footage to explain things because I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, so there's all kinds of things like that. All the cops have Growliths. And one guy that was like a criminal walking into the police station had a Charmander. So I was kind of like, oh, I bet he's like an arsonist. That'd be kind of cool. So, and the Growliths are like obviously like the canine units. It reminded me a lot of Gold Compass. I never read the books. I watched the movie. Everybody hated the movie, but because it was the only thing I've seen of Gold Compass, I actually liked it. it reminded me of that, where everybody had a Pokemon companion except for our main character for a while, Tim. So that was kind of, I like that aspect, because then you almost get like a personality comparison. So if you have a Growlithe with you, you do seem like somebody who may be loyal, like a dog would be. Or if you have like the monkey guy with the paw, there's some of the new Pokemon, I don't remember their names. Gosh, anyways, they say it a few times. But you're like, oh, maybe you're a little bit rambunctious and wild or something like that. Just kind of cool things like that. So I did like that. It was really cool. Even like the Pokemon battles, like when they did do the Pokemon battles, it felt like it was really underground, because it was like shady. It felt very underground and tucked away. When they're out in the wild and you saw Pokemon in the wild, you felt like that actually is how they are in the wild. It felt natural. Like when you see Bulbasaur's walking around and little things like that. You see Rattatats climbing on things while they're by the ports. It really felt real, because like, oh yeah, they're rats. That makes sense. So it did a really good job of like, the setting put you in there. The setting made you feel like you're a citizen of the city. Like you're actually in the world. Like I played in this world before. I played in this world 20 years ago. So it really did put you in there. I'm going to have to give them 15 out of 15. I fell in love with it. It was really nice. Now for the downside. The special effects. They just were not great. I mean, like, okay, so this was important because this is a Pokemon you're putting into real live action. So it's really hard to get them matched up. And Pikachu looks pretty good because the fur helps. But then you go like Mewtwo and Charizard, Mewtwo has like this translucent skin that's like kind of almost the way they did it makes it look slimy. And then Charizard has scales with like, he has a big scar on him. They just didn't come out well. And they felt kind of cheap and not great. One thing I noticed is the close-up shots often look better than the far-away shots. The Bulbasaur is my best example of this. When they showed the Bulbasaurs up close, it looks great. But then they panned away and they're walking down this little stream leading our hero somewhere. They felt like they were just like pasted on, like it was Mary Poppins. When you see the animation mixed with live action, it felt like that. Very out of place. A lot of the far-away shots really look bad with Pokemon in them. So there's definitely going to be sequels to this. This, I think, is the first in many movies. But, man, they botched the CGI on those Pokemon, I think. Personally, the fur-based Pokemon, maybe the Psyduck, feather-based one, I think they did pretty good with him. And Pikachu, of course, they did a lot with him because he was such a main character. They had to nail him down. So he looked pretty good. But when I'm watching, I'm just like, man, next movie when they have higher budget, because this movie does well, this thing's going to be awesome. Then I looked up the budget. Dude, the budget is $150 million. They had enough to do the CGI right. Your MCU movies, which everybody's comparing this to, they're scaling like the low mid $200 million area. So you expect this to kind of be really. I mean, I don't know. The CGI need to be better. The city looked great. Everything else, the environment looked great, but the Pokemon were standing out sometimes because they just weren't quite there yet. The Growlithe looked good, but they're almost like fuzzy, and it was almost like you're not quite nailing it. So I wanted to see them like really up their stakes on that one. I don't know, giving it an 8 out of 15. They have room to improve for sure. So going over what we have so far, we have plot 15 out of 20, actor 14 out of 20, directing 14 out of 15, score 15/15, production design 15/15, and special effects, CGI, stuff like that, 8 out of 15. For a grand total out of 81 over 100. I think it's fair. I'm seeing a lot of like 70s and Metascores are down in the 50s. I don't think it deserves that. I think it is higher than that. But one big aspect is the nostalgia effect. I think if a person goes that does not care for Pokemon or even know Pokemon, this movie might fall flat. And if you're a super Pokemon fan, like I have two friends that I go to class with, Lawrence and Jace. Howdy, guys. If you guys, I think they watched it, listen now. They are uber Pokemon fans. So I'm excited to talk to them about this when I go to class on Monday to kind of see like, hey, what do you guys think of the movie? And see what they think. Because I think with more knowledge, you're seeing the little Pokemon, like mine are all older Pokemon that I'm realizing, you know. But if you see like newer Pokemon running around and you like realize that it's doing something in the world that makes sense, then you're like, oh man, that's cool. Because that would be doing that. So it helps your enjoyment of the film. This is a love letter to the fans of Pokemon, and I hope that they expand in the universe. I really want to. But, little treat, they gave you, looks like 2 Pokemon cards when you walked in a booster pack. Now, I used to collect the heck out of these. We used to go to flea markets, find the guys selling the fake ones, see if we could find the real ones. We were like experts at that. So, I'm going to open this right now, and we're going to see what Pokemons we got. Okay, you walked in, they gave these to you on opening weekend. It's a regular booster pack looking like, you know, says Pokemon Detective Pikachu on the front. Says 2 additional game cards. So I'm assuming there's only 2 in the pack. Let's find out. So I'm cutting it open. All right, we got that open. Oh, okay, a couple cards inside. Yep. It's tight in there, guys. I haven't opened up booster packs in a long time. I'm such a noob at this. Okay, so first up, we have just a, it's just a trash card. It shows like the PokemonCenter.com/shop. Has Pikachu on there. And on the back shows some merch you can buy, which I do love that Jigglypuff shirt. So that might happen. Pikachu's addiction to coffee, by the way. Oh my god, that carried it. Okay, so let's look at our cards. We have Detective Pikachu. He is holographic. Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. Oh, I said the coffee thing before even turning it over. One of his abilities is called Coffee Break. Heal 30 damage from this Pokemon. That's cool. The next one's called Corkscrew Punch. Does 20 damage. Weakness to fighting. Resistance. Yeah, resistance from normal type. No, not normal. What is that one? Oh my god, I think that's steel. I'm out of the game for so long, guys. Okay, and so let's look at the next one. Oh wow, holographic Psyduck. Man, both these look really good. Oh man, and his thing is Panic. He has one ability, it's Panic. Does 10, and this Pokemon is now confused. The idea of keeping Psyduck calm the whole time was really, really adorable in the movie. They did a really nice job with that. These are cool. So we're gonna hang these up in the podcast studio here. We have these 2 big soundboards, and I bought a bunch of pins so we can start pinning up like the conventions we go to and stuff like that. So I'm going to pin these up there too. They look pretty cool. They did a good job with that. I remember the very first Pokemon movie I went to with my brothers. We were all excited because we got Mew cards. And Mew's referenced in this movie, but he's not in it. But it's still really cool. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show, this one, and the top 5 time travel movies we did. Really enjoyed having everybody around for the last year. It's been a year since we've been doing this show. Thank you guys so much for listening. You guys drive us in what we do. You make us want to like create more content, figure out how we can bring more stuff to you guys. That's what we're working on right now. We're really kind of thinking of like, how can we push up our Twitch? We're just now starting to use Twitch. If there's anything in particular you guys want us to play, let us know. Always open to suggestions. We like talking to you guys on Twitter. That might be one of my favorite aspects of this whole thing, is the growing community of fellow podcasters on Twitter. It's been really fun. And yeah, it's been great. Monday we have the next Game of Thrones episode, and then we'll be back for another Geek Freaks next week. All right, see you guys. Bye. Thank you for joining us on the Geek Freaks podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Geek Freaks Pod. We're also on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us. We have our Patreon and a store. All those links are in the description. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.